Understanding the concept of ego. This topic is misunderstood. People think ego is bad, and the reason is Western psychology recommends building the ego, and what they are recommending is build assertiveness and self-confidence. That is what ego means. While Eastern mystics recommend renouncing the ego. This seems to be in conflict, but in reality there is no conflict. In this book, Reality Here and Now, and another book, Personal to Global Transformation, I have explained much more deeply. Ego is I consciousness is used as a means to express the soul's energy through body and mind. It coordinates and directs the energy of body, senses, mind and intellect, enabling one to function harmoniously. Without ego, one will lack motivation, assertiveness, self-confidence and direction. One will be pushed around by people and situations. To simplify in a capsule form, here we'll explain. I consciousness is pure ego, and that is most desirable thing because that is closest to Atman or universal or our higher self. But when ego combining with intellect produces identification, then it becomes contaminated ego, and that ego is not desirable. What it does, I consciousness and intellect together identifies I am the body, I am the senses, I am the mind, I am the intellect, I own things, I am attached to people, I am attached to nation, race. These are called egos. When you remove all these attachments of I consciousness and identification, then pure I consciousness remains, and this pure I consciousness gives us the bliss. Now coming to explanation, why Western psychologists and psychologists say build the ego? Because if you don't have ego, you are in the world, you don't have control over your body, your senses, you are weakling. You cannot make a living, you cannot hold a job, you cannot finish education, you don't have enough food, enough clothing, you are shy. This is called tamasic ego, or your ego hasn't started. This is why psychologists say build the ego, be successful in the world and gain success, gain wealth, power, fame. This is the norm for psychologists and psychiatrists. Spiritual master says if you gain name, fame, power, all this still will bind you and you will be more miserable. Because people who are ignorant, they have bliss of ignorance, but in the middle you are restless. So they say be saturated with all these things and realize and cultivate pure ego, pure consciousness. So you are not the owner, you share your possessions and you identify yourself with consciousness, and this is giving up the ego. So spiritual masters takes you to the consciousness of self. Psychologists and psychiatrists consider you are happy, perfect. If you have money, you are married, you have a house, you are living normal life. From spiritual standpoint, all the successful in the world, if they don't have awareness, they are in bondage, they are slaves, they are not successful. So everyone living at that level It's just like in mental asylum, everyone think that they are sane and the world outside is crazy. So all people in the world are going in a wrong direction, forgetting themselves is considered mental sickness or maya or illusion. That is why people suffer. For normal people, if they function, they are considered normal. From spiritual standpoint, if you don't have peace and harmony and joy, then you are not normal. So this is like building ego before giving up ego. If you don't have ego at all, then you cannot wake up, you cannot practice yoga, you cannot do charitable things, because even to do anything you need ego. And that ego we have to use, but we have to transcend that ego. So it is explained like you build the ego and you use part of the ego to remove the ego. Like you got thorn walking barefooted, so you pick up another thorn and remove the thorn stuck in the foot and get rid of both the thorns. So this would clear up the concept of ego and non-ego. One has to have ego for self-confidence. If you don't have ego, you cannot have anyone. So when Christ says if somebody hits you on one cheek, hold the other cheek, he's talking from this higher standpoint. For average person, the advice will be somebody hits you, hit back, because you hold other cheek only when you are stronger than other person and you have compassion. Until then, it is being coward to hold other cheek, because you are a coward, you are afraid. So if you meditate on this, the concept of ego would be cleared. So don't blame yourself. You have ego, self-confidence, or desire to succeed in life. It is a positive, desirable thing. Just don't get stuck in the ego.